Hello my dear students, I welcome you all to History Online class. So in today's class we'll be dealing with your first chapter of your history, that is known as A Changing Time, but this is the continuation part, because if you have seen the previous video of your first part of the same chapter, that is chapter number 1, A Changing Time, there I have explained you regarding the Renaissance period. At the same time, scholars, arts, literature and different types of topics which also we need to focus while studying the chapter, that is A Changing Time. So in this today's chapter we will mainly focus about the Industrial Revolution and what were the different types of impact that also led under imperialism and the capitalist class, workers class, and so all different types of topics. So let's start the class. So first, talking about under the chapter known as A Changing Time, we mainly focus in today's class regarding the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution means a completely drastic change which mainly emerged during the 1760 onwards in a country called England, regarding what kind of new kinds of machines, inventions were flourished, and lots of inventors contributed in order to make those kinds of machines which could replace all the handmade goods. That means the manual work were being done by those kinds of worker or laborer. In order to put a full stop on all those kinds of manual labor or inventions, a new type of machines were introduced so that even it could save the time of the owner or the supervisor. Next, talking about the factors. So what were the main factors that ultimately led to a different topics with the European history? Because under this we see that how the factors with lots of machines at the same time, even the inventions were also flourished. So I'll just say some of the inventors' name who gave lots of contributing effort in order to make a kind of machines which could definitely help the people of England during those time, and later on it started spreading in all the parts of the European nation. First, with the George Stephenson, so as he has been regarded as the father of railway, who also made a contributing effort towards the railway, and steam was also being added towards the topic known as railway. Followed by next we talk about the James Hargreaves, who also made an impact by contributing a lot in the field of spinning jenny, and then Richard Arkwright in the spinning frame, and finally talking about the Humphrey Davy, who also thought of making a safety lamp. So these were all the contributing parts of the inventors in order to make a new kind of machine, in order to show a new kind of face to all the people of the European nation. And the first it started from the England country and slowly towards all the European parts of the world. And next we talk about the impact of Industrial Revolution. So as Industrial Revolution mainly stands about the different machines as well as a drastic change, on that behalf also a lots of impact also made a clear vision with we see like a child labor problem, because when the machines were introduced, definitely there was also a setup of factories or industries which ultimately led to a lots of, like a child they had to go to work for 8 hours, 10 hours, and that ultimately led to a rise of child labor problem. Next we talk about the capitalism. So when we talk about the capitalism, means a person who has got lots of wealth, lots of money, so that they can invest in a particular piece of land or in any of the investment, and later on they can attain lots of profit from those kinds of investment. Third, we see with what kind of German thinkers like Karl Marx followed by Friedrich Engels, they have clearly written that whatever the Industrial Revolution took a birth or outbreak in England country first and followed by other countries, that also made a distinction between two people. The first we talk about the working class, the people those who are working, and the second known as the capitalist class, the capitalists who had got lots of money investing on a particular piece of land in order to construct a factory or like industries, and the workers or laborers, they had to go and work, and according to that they were being paid as a wages. So this form of division also took birth after the Industrial Revolution took birth in England country. Next we talk with the topic known as imperialism. So imperialism mainly focused on the countries who wanted to put their power, the colonial power, towards all the nation, and mainly two types of nations, means continent nation mainly flourished under this, that's known as Asia countries as well as the African countries. Like example of our own country India, even our India country was under the colonial rule of Britishers for almost 200 years. After that, Ghana, which is also known as the old name as Gold Coast, Kenya, many other countries out there. So similarly, these two continent nations became the victim of all the European power because a new phase of industrial revolution took birth from all the European nations, starting from England and the rest part of the world. So in the imperialism, what we mainly focus is that regarding the European capitalist nation. That means the European nation who wanted to be a richer more day by day, and that the countries known as France, Great Britain, Spain, Portugal. So these are all the European countries who made their achievement by investing money and later on gaining lots of profit from those kinds of investment. And the last topic, that is known as the sources. Whenever we talk about the sources, it mainly comes under the two phases if we study the ancient history. But in the European history, what we mainly focus on the sources are there. They also have got the two parts of division, but one is known as the primary sources and the second is known as the secondary sources. So in the primary sources, like the topic like photographs, newspapers, videotapes, and even the archaeological sources also linked with the primary sources, where we see especially the monuments, buildings, maps, which gives a clear description as well as ideas about those kinds of European nations who wanted to make their country rich day by day. At the same time, the two continents, Asia as well as Africa continent, the countries lying under those two continents who started becoming one of the dominated nations, and that made one of the great impact for those kinds of capitalist nation. In the secondary sources, what we mainly study is about the writers like James Mill as well as Vincent Mill, who are also been classified as one of the great writers, scholars, who mainly wrote about the reviews, about all those kinds of reports, articles based on the Indian tradition as well as Indian culture, that how these are the topics that all these European nations were putting their eye on the India country. And later on, we all know the history of our country, that is India, how English East India came to India after getting the permission from Jahangir, the son of Akbar the Great, and later on through the East India Company, a first factory was set up in Surat, that is in Gujarat, and later on it became the Britishers overall the authority, where they started dominating the India, that is our nation. So hope this was overall the topic for today's class. Hope you have understood. Till then, stay safe. Thank you. God bless.